Hey dearies, welcome back. School's already scary enough with exams, boring homework, and cafeteria food that looks radioactive. But imagine if your teacher wasn't just strict. Imagine if they were evil, dangerous, or even a ghost haunting your classroom. Today, I've got 4 of the craziest teacher stories you've ever heard. From an evil math teacher who lost her job, to a kid whose crutches got stolen, to a psycho substitute who literally bit the principal's face off, and finally, a haunted high school in Texas that still terrifies people to this day. Stick around till the end, because the last one will haunt your sleep. If you're brave enough to keep watching, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Or the ghost teacher might show up for detention tonight. Now let's dive in. Starting with a math teacher so evil, she made students cry before they even failed the test.
This teacher is the absolute worst. At this one middle school, in math class one year, there was this very awful teacher. She would scream at her students, refuse to answer any questions, and she would act very aggressive at very small things, kind of like she had anger issues. Well, one day in this math class, they were going over the answers to a math packet, and one girl in this class, let's call her Tina, flipped to the next page a little too early. Well, somehow, from all the way across the room, the teacher noticed this, and she stormed over. Are you in a rush, Tina? 'Cause if so, you can take your stuff and you can leave. She smacked her hand on Tina's desk, and Tina was horrified. She started packing her stuff, getting ready to leave. Well, apparently, Tina wasn't fast enough because the teacher grabbed her by the arm, shoved her out of the classroom into the hallway, and slammed the door. And stay out there! After class, her friends found Tina crying in the hallway. And so, when they got to the next class, which was PE, they told one of the coaches, and the coach did not like to hear this. You said, what happened? All right, will you guys just hang out here, okay? I'll be back. After PE, everybody that was in that math class was brought into the dean's office, and one by one they were questioned. And just before Thanksgiving break, that horrible, awful teacher was fired. That's karma for you.
Guys, imagine flipping one page early and getting tossed out like you just robbed the whole cafeteria. That's not teaching, that's WWE SmackDown with homework taped to a chair. This girl wasn't cheating, wasn't disrespectful, she was literally ahead of the lesson, and somehow that turned into a felony, power trip detected, maximum overdrive. And the best part, a coach had to step in to remind everyone what a real adult in the room looks like. Meanwhile, karma was already warming up in the hallway. Because right before Thanksgiving, it pulled up like a guest with a carving knife and sliced this teacher's career like a turkey. Cold, precise, delicious justice.
Gonna regret this. Get out of my class. So this kid sprains his leg during soccer practice. The doctor gives him crutches, a note, clear instructions. But his teacher, she never liked him. She thinks he's dramatic, thinks he's lazy. He walks into class on crutches, and she just stares at him. You don't need those. Stop milking it. He tries to explain, but she just cuts him off. If you want attention, do it on your own time. Give me those. She takes his crutches and locks them into a cabinet. He stares at her, calm, and just says, "You're gonna regret this." And for the rest of the day, he walks all day on his hurt leg. He doesn't ask for help. He's not complaining. He's limping. He winces, but he keeps moving. Well, that night, his leg is on fire. The next morning, he's back at the doctor. It's worse now. He has a hairline fracture because he was walking on it so much, because the teacher took his crutches. Oh, it's about to get bad for this teacher. The next morning, he walks into class again, with crutches, a medical boot now, and another doctor's note. He doesn't sit. He doesn't yell. Just stands in front of the whole class and says, "So I watched the rest of the day like you told me to?" Well, turns out that refractured my injury. I'll be on crutches another 6 weeks now, so thank you for that. The whole class is silent. She tries to speak, but the door opens and the principal walks in. "Hi, Miss Harding. I need to speak with you. Please bring your things." She freezes. Then she grabs her stuff and heads towards the hallway. And she walks out. She doesn't come back the next day. Or the day after that. She was fired. Karma's a
This one just hits different. A student shows up with a legit injury, doctor's note in hand, proof that he's not making it up. And this teacher? Suddenly she's Dr. Frankenstein with a clipboard. Decides she knows better than a physician. No sympathy, no humanity, just raw power abuse in front of a whole class. The wild part? The student doesn't lose it. He doesn't snap, doesn't curse, doesn't even raise his voice. He just waits, quiet, steady, knowing the truth will do the heavy lifting. And when it lands, oh, it lands hard. Word spreads, parents call, emails pile up, and suddenly the teacher's authority looks like a bad joke. Then the principal walks in, calm but lethal, like a final boss cutscene. I need to speak with you. Bring your things. That's not a request. That's the HR version of fatality. Career deleted. And the student? He didn't even have to throw a punch. Justice did the work for him.
One day, a class had a substitute teacher, and as the day went on, the substitute's behavior became increasingly weird. She was making the kids draw dead people who were cut open with a knife. The substitute would also start putting her hands around some of the kids' necks and squeezing hard, and then begin screaming things about Jesus. All the kids became afraid of her, and a group of brave students managed to sneak out of the class and go to the principal's office and tell them about the substitute. The principal came to the classroom not long after, and when he saw the drawings of dead people, he tried to get the substitute out of the classroom, but she refused. The principal then grabbed the substitute and tried to pull her out of the classroom, but then she started to bite his face, and then took a big chunk off of his cheek. After this, the principal called for backup, and the substitute was dragged out of the classroom by multiple people. A few days later, all of the kids' parents were called into the school for a meeting, and the school then explained that the substitute teacher was a psychopath, and that she should have never been hired in the first place. Luckily, none of the students were hurt from this teacher, but sadly, the principal got his face bitten off.
This ain't real life. This is a straight-up cutscene from a survival horror game. She's in class, drawing dead bodies like it's art class from hell, screaming about Jesus like a street preacher on fire, and then, out of nowhere, she bites the principal's face. Tell me that's not Silent Hill High. Who even signed the paperwork to let this woman near kids? The only smart move came from the students. They bolted, full speed, no hesitation, and told the first adult they could find. Survival instincts on point. Because this wasn't just unstable behavior. This wasn't just, oh, she needs help. This was possession-level chaos. The kind of scene you'd pause and rewind just to process. And honestly, if Netflix doesn't option this for a miniseries, dark corridors, flickering lights, the psycho substitute snarling down the hall, they're leaving money on the table. This isn't a story. It's a franchise waiting to happen.
Have you guys seen this ghost photo taken at El Paso High School in Texas? I get emails sent to me all the time about haunted things that's happened to people, and this one took place at El Paso High School, and in the first correspondence, she acted like I should know about this place, but I'd never heard of it before. So I looked into it, and oh my gosh, this place is super hella haunted. If you're like me and you've never heard of it, it's actually like a really cool place. It's still a school today. It had a basement that was used as like a morgue during the Spanish flu and during the war and all this stuff. It's like all kinds of stuff. So there's this story of this lady in white that apparently back in like 1922, she unalived herself and then jumped out of the window. Well, now she haunts the place and people get her in photos all of the time like this one. So this is the photo, how it was like actually posted when somebody took the photo or whatever, but I tilted it to make it more like where it's actually like you're looking in the window, and I lightened it, and then I got this. What the hell? You can see how she's kind of like wispy right here. You can see her tiny waist and her face, and if you zoom in on that, it looks like she's screaming, okay? And that's important for the story. But before that, let me show you another famous ghost photo from there. So this is a class photo that was taken in 1985, and they said that they don't know who the hell this is. This is so scary because to me, it looks exactly like the photo of the ghost girl in the other one, right? This one looks very much like this. Ugh. Remember how I told you about the basement, about the hallway, and about the morgue and all of that? Well, Olivia sends me this email about the time that her and her friend Maria decided to go down there. She didn't really want to. She said she knew it was a bad idea, but Maria was like, come on, let's go. It'll be fine. What's the worst that can happen? So apparently they had to like break a lock to get down there. And Maria was like, no problem, I can do that. So they get down there. They're walking around the tunnel. It's pitch black. She said it's like cold. She can feel like an eeriness to it. And then they could hear like a tap, tap, tap. She just tells herself like, okay, what's tapping is our footsteps. It's just like a delay because it's the hallway. So she just kind of like tries to ignore it, but it just keeps getting louder and louder. Like whatever it is following them down the hallway. And she said she started hearing like whispers, and it sounded like someone was saying her name, but she could tell that it wasn't Maria, but it sounded like it was coming from Maria. So she taps her on the shoulder and she's like, do you hear that? And she said that when Maria turned around, her face looked different. And immediately she's like, okay, I'm just trying to scare myself. Like, she's not possessed or anything. I'm just hyping myself up. But Maria was acting weird. So she like spun around and they start back down the hallway. That's when they hear crying, like little kid crying noises, and they couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And at first they thought someone might have went down there and got stuck or something, but then they were like, no, because we had to break the lock. And they're like, oh yeah. So they keep going and they get down to this room that's like chained off or whatever. Could hear someone crying, clearly like a little girl crying on the other side of the door. So Maria calls out to her and she's like, hey, who's in there? What's happening? Can we help you or whatever? And the crying just gets like louder and louder. Well, that's when she said that Maria became obsessed with trying to get this door open, but she could tell that it was just off. She said that she could hear the crying too, but she didn't think that it was real. She already knew that it was like haunted down there. So she was convinced that this was like a ghost or whatever. And she said, and that's when she was like, okay, I'm going to leave you down here. I'm going to leave you down here by yourself. Like you asked for it. I'm sorry. I'm going to leave you. So she turns to leave because she can't get Maria to come with her. And then that's when she sees this woman in white that looks like the girl in the photo that's just standing at the end of the hallway. And she said she's like standing there, like with her like hair hanging down, and she said she had these big black holes where her eyes should be, and her mouth was open like she was screaming, but no noise was coming out. In the email that she should have screamed or something, but no noise came out. She was just standing there staring at this woman that was at the end that was just like taking steps towards them, but no noise was coming out. And the entire time Maria's got her back to her and she's trying to get this door open because she could hear the little girl crying on the other. So she said she reached back and she's like hitting at Maria like, turn around, look, oh my God, like there's some woman down here. Finally, she gets her attention. She turns around, she sees her too, and she like screams out and she just bolts, like leaves Olivia. She just takes off. Olivia said as soon as she heard Maria like start hauling ass down the hallway, she was right behind her. So they start going down this hallway and they like make a turn or do something. I don't know. She said she can't even remember, but they like ended up back where they started. And to this day, she said that they don't talk about it, that she won't go back to the school or anything, but she said it looked exactly like the photos of the woman.
Okay, I'm done. A basement morgue? A ghost woman caught in photos 60 years apart? A hallway with black-eyed screamers and creepy whispers calling your name? That's paranormal overkill. And the part with Maria and the door felt like bait from the other side. Everything in that story screams get out now. But the scariest thing? They never talk about it again. That silence says more than any scream. So there you have it. Teachers who fail at being human and ghosts who ace horror. Which story made you say, yup, I'm dropping out? Was it the face-biting sub or the lady in white that chills to the bone? Let me know in the comments. And dearies, don't forget, smash that like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because in this classroom, the only way to pass is to survive. Catch you in the next one. Stay safe and stay spooky.